Welcome to the dark side of lust. Let's begin. So, this is a little bit of a strange story, and I don't know what the outcome would have been, but let me get into it. My name is Stephanie, and my brother, he was in a car accident, and when he died. Let me just put it straight like that. Instead of getting into a lot of it, he died in a car accident. And it was about 3 weeks later. I was actually on my way back from picking up his ashes in the urn when I came to an accident on the highway. Now, it was a whole car rolled over, and I could literally see the guy hanging out of the car. I couldn't believe it. I thought about my brother right away. And so I just thought it was like a sign from the heavens saying that I can at least save this person because my brother wasn't saved. So I immediately pulled over on the side of the road and I jumped out. And when I jumped out of the car, the guy got up and jumped out of his car. Like, this guy was completely full of blood. There was like glass on the side of his arm. And I couldn't figure out like what was going on with him. Like, was he just, you know, in shock? Was he running on adrenaline? So I said to him, I said, listen, buddy, you're hurt. You're bleeding. You really should just sit down on the side of the road right here, or even come here, come sit in the back of my car, and I can help you. And he was kind of dazed, and he just looked at me and he's like, oh man, oh man. That's all he could say was, oh man. So I opened up my back door in my car, and I sat him in there, and I gave him a little a bottle of water that I had in my trunk. And I told him, I said, here, drink this, just relax. You have a lot of glass on your body and you don't look good. Now, he had no top on. He had no shoes on. And I know that his top didn't come off in the accident. And it was cold out. His shoes, I don't know. It's possible they were still in the car. But maybe he had the heat on in the car. I don't know. In any case, right away I grabbed my cell phone and I called 911 because I wanted the police come to help him and take him to the hospital. The only thing I could think about was saving this guy because my brother wasn't saved. You know, I was just in help mode. And so 911 answered, and I'm like, hey, I'm on the side of the highway and I'm just off Route 5. I really need help. A guy just smashed and he doesn't really look good at all. I don't know what happened. And then I yelled over to him and I said, what happened? Did you roll over? And he's like, are you talking to 911? And I said, yes. And he's like, get off the phone. And I was like, whoa. And he's like, get off the phone. And I said, okay. And I put the phone to the side and I'm like, are you sure? Like, are you maybe? And he's like, get off the phone right now. And I said, okay, okay. And I went back to the phone and I looking at the guy and I'm thinking to myself, what do I do? Like, do I just hang up on 911 and they're going to call me right back? So I put the phone back on the side again and I said, I can't just hang up on them because they're going to trace this call and they're going to call back. So maybe if I just tell them I don't need help any longer. And he's like, do that now. So I went back up on the phone and I said, hey, operator, I'm sorry. I don't really need any help. I thought I did. And the operator's like, do you need help there? I'm like, yeah. And she's like, do you want us to come? Like, is there something okay there? And I'm like, oh, yeah. I'm going to let you go. Everything seems to be all right. And she's like, but it's not all right. Am I correct? And I'm like, no, 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 we don't need you right now. And she's like, you know what? I'm going to send somebody. You just say goodbye and say it one more time that you don't need anyone. And we're going to send someone. Now, just remind me, Route 5, you said, right? And I'm like, yep. yeah, I'm going to let you go. This guy is totally fine. Okay. And she's like, I heard him in the background. And I'm like thinking, oh my gosh, just get off the phone, operator. Let me get this guy out of my car and take off. Like clearly I was in a situation where I was feeling very uncomfortable. And then the operator's like, listen, I'm staying on the phone. Don't hang up. Just pretend you're hanging up. Throw your phone in your purse or put it somewhere. So I was like, okay, bye. And I put my phone down in the front seat of the car. And I said to the guy, come on, let me help you out of the car. Let me get you up. Like, you don't want help or 911 or anything, but I do need to go. And he looked at me and he's like, give me the keys to your car. And I'm like, buddy, please don't do that. I actually have my brother's urine in the car, his ashes in the car. Like, please don't do this. My brother just died in an accident 3 weeks ago. And I'm trying to tell this guy, like, just leave me alone. Let me be. Feel sorry for me, And the guy was just staring at me like a monster. And he's like, give me the keys to the car and get in the effing car now. So I had no choice because I was terrified. And all I could do was think about my brother. So I got into the front seat of the car and he's like, I said, give me the keys. And I'm like, but you're bleeding. You can't drive. And he's like, all right, all right. And then so he's like, get out of the car and give me the keys. I'm going to get in the other side of the car in the passenger seat. When I'm ready, you get into the car and you'll drive. So I said, all right, no problem at all. So I gave him the keys. He walked around to the side of the car and he got into the passenger seat. And he's like, get in. So, of course, I got in. I took my cell phone and I put it on my lap, but in a way where he wouldn't notice that I was on the phone still. And of course, by that time, the screen of the phone went black. And so he's like, drive. And I'm like, okay. So I said, I just want to tell you first, I'm really nervous and like, please don't make me drive fast. I was at this point just trying to talk for small talk because I knew the police were on the way. And then he's like, I said, drive. You drive your car, don't you? Just drive. I'm not telling you to speed. And I said, okay, okay, okay. I put the key in the ignition. Now there's something funny about my car. It's always rigged. And my brother, he did something funny to it before he passed. I don't know what he did, but he showed me how to put the key in and turn it properly so it starts right away. And I did that. But I didn't do it the way I was supposed to. I put the key, because I remembered, and I put the key in the car and I went, and it wouldn't start. And he's like, what's wrong with the car? And I'm like, I don't know. Just please, just be patient. He's like, oh my gosh, are you serious right now? And I'm like, wait, I don't know what's wrong with the car. And I went to try to start it again and start it again. And he couldn't believe it. He just looked at me and he's like, you're doing something. You're up to something. And I'm like, what am I up to? The car won't start. I don't even know what's happening. Please. And then he looks at me and he's like, this is probably your dead brother. And in my head, I was like, yes, that's right. So then he just looks at me and he's like, you know what? Get out of the car. Let me try to turn it on. So I did. I got out of first I grabbed the phone, obviously, and I grabbed my brother's urn because I was not going to allow him to start that car and take off with my brother in it. So here I am standing outside the car with the phone and also the urn, and I just stepped away from the car a little bit. And he's like, where are you going? Why are you stepping away so far? And I said, I don't know if the car is going to explode. I don't know what's going to happen. But really, I was thinking about taking a run for it because he was really injured and I wasn't even sure if he was able to run towards me. By this point, he did look like he was getting cold. I didn't know if he was on something, and remember, he's in his bare feet and no top on. And so I thought I could run for it. I'm pretty good. I exercise every day. I used to run track. So I'm thinking that I can get away from him. And I'm standing on the side of the road. Within about 1 minute, here comes the police with their sirens on, and they come down the road, and he just looks at me and he's like, I can't believe you called the police. And I said, I didn't. And I guess he accepted defeat because he put his head on the back of the chair and he just breathed in deep and he went, shit, man, like that. And then that was it. The police took him right away. They asked him who he was, and he wouldn't tell them who he was. And they took him down to the police station. Well, the police did ask me for my information. And it was about a day or two later when one of the arresting officers contacted me and told me that he was an escapee, a convict from prison, and he had taken the lives of 3 women. Can you imagine that? Oh, my brother certainly was with me that day. Wow, was she ever lucky? Her brother certainly was with her that day. Tell us what you would do. Put your comment down below. Have you ever been in any trouble like this before? Thank you so much for joining me. Thank you so much for subscribing, hitting that like button, and please share. Be careful out there.